Hi, my name is Jamie Thule, and Petals is my entry into the 2020 two-player game design competition on Board Game Geek. Petals is a three-card adaptation of a game called Tussie Mussie. It's designed by Elizabeth Hargrave, published by Button Shy, and it's an 18-card game of arranging and gifting flowers, trying to make the best arrangement. So, Petals comes with 3 flower cards, 1 double-sided rules card. All of the flower cards are double-sided, and they have 2 flowers on each face. Over the course of 3 rounds, we're going to be arranging flowers in a line, trying to score the most points. Every flower has 2 faces, so one will be facing me, which I will have in my arrangement, and there will be 1 on each card facing my opponent that will be part of their arrangement. Flowers can be closer to you in the line, such as this azalea. That is what is known as a keepsake. You're keeping it for yourself. And you have flowers that are closer to your opponent, in this case the honeysuckle and the yellow rose. Those are part of my bouquet. That's then reversed for my opponent, so the chrysanthemum is part of their bouquet because it's closer to me, and the wallflower and the delphinium are part of their keepsakes. So, the way this will work is we will take all of the cards and mix and rotate thoroughly. I would do this under the table. Put the rules card right over the top so you can't see what's coming. And we're ready to begin. So, players will alternate taking turns. I'll start and take the bottom card off the stack and put it closer to me. So, this yellow rose counts as a keepsake for me, and it counts as part of my opponent's bouquet. Every flower has some special text on it. For instance, this yellow rose counts as any one color I want it to be. It doesn't have to be yellow. And it's got a heart, which is always worth 1 point. The delphinium is 1 point per keepsake. So this is not in an ideal spot for my opponent because it's part of his bouquet. It's not going to get him any points as is. However, players have a chance to manipulate this card to their advantage. So players will gesture simultaneously. They can push, palm towards the opponent, to try to slide the card over and adjust who's got it as a keepsake and who's got it as part of their bouquet. You can pull with your palm towards yourself to try to do the opposite. And lastly, you can do a thumbs down to rotate, in which case it will spin 180 degrees. Players are going to gesture simultaneously, and if they gesture the same way, nothing is going to happen. If they gesture differently, we'll go ahead and resolve that before we continue. So in this case, the yellow rose is not particularly useful. This delphinium, I wouldn't mind it if it were towards me. It would be worth a point if it were a keepsake, and I could get potentially other keepsakes in the future. So I'm going to go ahead and pull. For lack of an opponent, I'm going to roll the die to see what my opponent does. My opponent is going to rotate. So I have chosen to pull. It's already towards me, so that would just negate if my opponent pulled. So it's going to stay towards me. Opponent chose to rotate. I'll place the card like this. That's exactly what I wanted to happen. Now it is my opponent's turn. So we're going to slide a card out, place it closer to my opponent because it's their turn. Azalea is 2 points if all of your flowers are different colors. I like that fine. Chrysanthemum is 1 point per flower in your bouquet. My opponent is not too keen on that because it's currently a keepsake. So I would like to pull again because I'm going to guess that my opponent wants to push to get the chrysanthemum into their bouquet, and I would like a point for this being a keepsake. So I'm going to go ahead and pull. Surprisingly, my opponent has chosen to pull. We've gestured the same, so it's not going to move. On to the last turn of the round is my turn, so I'm going to place this closer to me. Honeysuckle here is 1 point for the heart and 1 point per opponent's pink flower. Not particularly useful, but I don't want my opponent to have it. The wallflower, however, is 4 points if you have all yellow flowers. My opponent doesn't want that. I don't want that. I'm going to guess that my opponent is going to go to rotate, so I'm going to call for a rotate as well. My opponent chooses to pull. So it's going to get pulled and rotated like so. Now that all the cards are in a line, we'll go ahead and score. So I've got Delphinium, which is 1 point per keepsake. I have only one keepsake. The azalea is worth 2 points if all of the flowers are different colors, so I'm going to get 2 points out of that for a total of 3 because the wallflower isn't going to score. My opponent has this yellow rose, which is a heart, so that's 1 point, and it can count as any color, but that's not super relevant right now. The chrysanthemum gets 1 point per flower in the bouquet, so that's 2 because the yellow rose is in my opponent's bouquet. And last of all, honeysuckle, 1 point for the heart, and is 1 point per opponent's pink flower. I have azalea here, so that's 4 points for my opponent. Now that we've scored this round, we would go ahead and shuffle it up and play 2 more rounds, adding up score as we go to determine who wins. I'm not going to do that. 1 round demo should be enough. But yeah, this is Petals. I hope you like it.